Gabe Debenedetti is a national political reporter for Politico. And Gabe, I think a lot of people listening to all of these votes are just confused. So bring us up to speed. What are we looking at this afternoon? We know that at least one of the votes that came up was a no. What happens today?
Yeah, and we should say it's not only viewers who are confused about all this. There are plenty of senators who are very confused about what they're exactly going to be voting on over the next few days. Last night, the vote that failed was an attempt to repeal Obamacare and replace it with the plan that the Senate had come up with. That did not pass. What they're going to be looking at today, what they're expecting to look at today, is another plan that likely will not pass, and this would be to just repeal Obamacare with no replacement. So what they're likely to do today is, once that fails, then go into more discussions about what exactly they're going to be voting on down the line. There are a lot of discussions about if they can get away with repealing simply pieces of Obamacare, if they are going to be talking with the House about what they can find as a middle ground between the measure that the House passed and that measure that the Senate is trying to pass. So there's a lot of discussion still going on here, and this is going to be a process that's going to take some time.
It sounds like the big question right now is whether they're going to be able to move forward on any sort of bill to repeal the ACA at this point. What's the likelihood?
That's exactly right. There's a very big appetite in Republican circles to pass something so that they can put something on the board. It's just not clear exactly what that's going to look like. There is a growing consensus that they might be able to get away with passing some sort of measure at some point down the line in the next few days or weeks that would in some way address the medical device tax or in some way get rid of the individual and employer mandate, which are some of the more controversial parts of the bill. But what they're not going to be discussing, if that's the case, is what to do with Medicaid, the Medicaid expansions that are very popular among a lot of governors who've been pressuring their senators. All of which is to say that we really don't know, because a lot of the senators really don't know.
Yeah, and I heard one Republican senator describe that sort of slimmed down, skinny version as just punting on all of this. Obviously, there are holdouts among the Republicans, and the president went after Senator Lisa Murkowski of Alaska for her no vote just to open debate last night. What is he trying to achieve with these attacks on members of his own party, and does it work?
Well, the latter question, does it work, is a huge one. Obviously, what he's trying to do is push members of his own party into the side of the party that's actually trying to repeal and replace Obamacare in a responsible way. But Murkowski is not a very good person for him to go after, for example. She's not up for re-election until 2022, which is a long way down the line. And to top that off, in 2010, she actually did lose a primary challenge and then still won a write-in. So she's really not vulnerable. There are a few senators who are up for re-election in 2018 that the White House thinks they've got on their side now. That includes Dean Heller in Nevada, Jeff Flake in Arizona. So they've clearly been trying to pressure them. But when the president is unhappy with a senator, he's been letting them know.
And again, they need at least 3 senators not to defect for them to get something through. So just with Murkowski and Susan Collins of Maine voting no last night, they've got a problem. Speaking of attacks, the president is continuing to attack his attorney general, Jeff Sessions. This is what he tweeted. Why didn't E.G. Sessions replace acting director Andrew McCabe, a Comey friend who was in charge of Clinton investigation but got big dollars for his wife's political run from Hillary Clinton and her representatives? Drain the swamp. This all goes back to a donation that McCabe, who took Comey's place after he was fired by Donald Trump, of course, gave to Clinton. But what's the end game here? Again, attacking, the person who is effectively leading the FBI right now.
Yeah, this is a pretty stunning series of events, if anything is stunning in this day and age. Sessions was one of Trump's first political allies to really step out during the presidential primaries last year, and it was a pretty significant moment when he did. They've really been in lockstep on a lot of things, but I think what a lot of folks are understanding now is that the end game is to try and lessen the pressure that Trump is feeling with these investigations into Russia. He's clearly very mad that Sessions has recused himself and therefore is not allowing himself to play any role in these rolling investigations. And President Trump patently does not like the fact that these investigations are still going in such an aggressive way. Now, this is a big problem for him, of course, because his base likes Jeff Sessions too. So he's dealing with political fire.
I interviewed Senator Sessions on the night of Trump's victory at election headquarters, and he was true a loyalist to Donald Trump. Why doesn't he just fire him? Why doesn't Trump just fire Sessions?
Well, I think there are a lot of people who are cautioning Trump against this. One, because it would be an enormous nightmare to try and confirm another attorney general. Two, because Sessions was the first senator to back Trump, and it was a huge moment for Trump. So if there's some question of loyalty, it's still playing in his mind. But beyond that, there are people counseling Trump, essentially saying, if you want to avoid muddying the waters even further with this investigation, you really can't fire him. And the conservative base, as we've said, they really like Jeff Sessions, and Trump loves his base.
Yeah, calling him weak and beleaguered as he has in the recent days doesn't sound like loyalty. And Senator Graham has also spoken out about these attacks. Let's listen.
Well, here's what I would say. I would fire somebody that I did not believe could serve me well, rather than trying to humiliate them in public, which is a sign of weakness. I would just go ahead and say, I appreciate your service. You need to be fired. The weakness is that the president is trying to not use his power. He's trying to get Sessions to quit, and I hope Sessions doesn't quit. And if the president wants to fire him, fire him.
And Gabe, you already spoke about some of the reasons why Trump may not be firing Sessions, but another one is, couldn't he have trouble confirming someone to replace him?
He would have huge trouble confirming someone to replace him, largely because of the comments that you just showed. People like Lindsey Graham, who would usually be a pretty easy senator to get on board to confirm a Republican attorney general, are pretty loyal to Jeff Sessions, who was their colleague for a long time in the Senate and only left because of this job that many people assumed he would be in for a very long time. What's really stunning, as Senator Graham sort of suggested there to a lot of Republican senators, is that the man, Donald Trump, who became famous in some ways for saying you're fired on TV, is really refusing to just do it. And so they really don't like the way that he is, treating their former colleague.
Before I let you go, Gabe, I want to get your comments on our top story. As you know, President Trump is banning transgender people from the military, but it appears to have taken the Pentagon by surprise. Is this an appeal to his base, and how did we get to this point? I mean, his defense secretary is on vacation.
Yeah, we can certainly read it that way. Obviously, we know this is a president who likes to just make decisions and get things done unilaterally if he can, without having to go through the bureaucracy of the government. Not that, of course, calling one of his cabinet secretaries would be an enormous bureaucracy. But yes, this is easy to read as a sop to his base, which is pretty mad at him right now because of the topic that we were just talking about, his attacks on Jeff Sessions. Sessions is one of the few people who they hold up in even higher esteem than the president. So for him to break from these folks to attack Sessions is a pretty significant break, and for him to then turn around and say, well, I will hand you this win on transgender people serving in the military, it does look as a nod to what they want.
Interesting. Gabe Debenedetti, thanks so much.
Thank you.